What's up, everybody? Welcome to Political Fight Club. I'm your host, Robert Durden, and this episode is an update on Israel and Palestine. I know it's depressing. We're going to keep going over it while it's still happening, which I think is for the at least the near future and probably more than that. So just in the last 24 hours, Israel has committed numerous atrocities. The bombings that they're doing are ridiculous. And yesterday we're talking about how they bombed a road going to Al-Shifa Hospital, which is Gaza's biggest hospital. And what they're doing now, guys, according to Aaron Matei, and something I saw on Twitter, is that basically like propaganda outlets like the Washington Post are reporting that every time something like this happens, like a road gets blown up that leads to a hospital, is that the Israelis are basically just saying, oh, we think there's Hamas tunnels underneath there. So that's how they're justifying some of these bombings. And other ones, like the AP and Al Jazeera building, they're not even, like, they're just saying, we think Hamas is there, and then we blow it up. And then, as I reported earlier today, then they don't give any evidence to our Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, about who was actually in that building. They just go, JK, we don't really have any evidence. And he's one of the first people they would tell if, he asked for it. So if he hasn't gotten it, they don't have any. So they're just either not giving any evidence whatsoever and saying, oh, we think Hamas is in there, and just blowing it up willy-nilly. Or they're going to say, oh, there's a bunker underneath, or Hamas tunnels, we think, underneath. Bullshit. Here's what they've bombed in the last 24 hours. They bombed the PCRF, which is the Palestinian Children Relief Fund building. All that they do is they're like a charity for humanitarian aid which provides food and health care to children in Palestine. It's destroyed. The Gravel Institute shared the pictures of it, and I reshared them on Twitter as well. I'll put them in the description below. And then beyond that, according to Common Dreams, as I read this morning, they also bombed the Ministry of Health and one of Palestine's only COVID testing centers, if not the only one. So I'm going to read to you exactly what they did here, but that's not even it, guys. There's even more than that. Listen to this. Israeli airstrikes in the center for the occupied Gaza Strip on Monday caused severe damage to the territory's lone coronavirus testing lab and the offices of the Palestinian Ministry of Health, an attack that was immediately condemned as a war crime. Citing eyewitnesses to the bombing, Middle East Eye reported that Israeli warplanes hit the six-story Gazi al-Shwa building with at least 3 missiles, completely destroying the upper floors. Middle East Eye noted that the bombing damaged, quote, dozens of adjacent buildings, including Gaza's main coronavirus laboratory, an orphanage, a female high school, and the Palestinian Ministry of Health offices. Quote, if the Ministry of Health is not safe, then there is no safe place in the Gaza Strip, said Abu Ahmad Abful, an eyewitness to the airstrikes. Quote, this is a war crime, and the world cannot remain silent, end quote. Goddamn right. If you're still on the side of the Israelis at this point, I don't know what to tell you. You don't give a shit about human life. You don't. This is what they would call collateral damage, but you see what they're doing here, you guys. They're just bombing civilian infrastructure, which is war crimes. And if you guys know, I've been going over the numbers every day. Over 200 Palestinians are dead, including 58 children. And that was as of yesterday. I haven't seen the updates as of today. But after all this, I'm sure there's plenty more civilian casualties. There's only 10 Israeli casualties so far and 1 child. Now, I don't advocate for Hamas shooting at Israel either, but let's not act like this is a fight. This is a genocide. It's an ethnic cleansing. The Israelis are stomping their boots down on the necks of the Palestinians, and as you can see here, they're destroying buildings that have nothing to do with Hamas, almost arbitrarily, and just working backwards and saying, oh, there's tunnels underneath, or we think there's Hamas there. No. They're killing civilians, they are doing ethnic cleansing, and they're bombing civilian infrastructure. These are war crimes. So, like I said, guys, you can't be on the wrong side of this. If you're still on the side of the Israelis, you're fucked in the head. You are fucked in the head or highly propagandized, and you need to break that shit, because you need to be on the right side of this thing. And it shouldn't take people this long. I mean, if you've seen any of the videos coming out or of the pictures coming out of these horrible situations, that should be enough to tell you everything you need to know. Israel is the aggressor, they are the provocateur, and like I've just shown you, in the last 24 hours, in the last 2 days, they've bombed a media center, which had Al Jazeera and the Associated Press and Middle East Eye headquarters inside, and residential building or residences in that building. They bombed a road to a hospital, the biggest hospital in the Gaza Strip. They bombed an orphanage, the Ministry of Health, a coronavirus testing facility, and a high school. And they bombed a refugee camp recently. Open your eyes. This is genocide. We need to be on the right side of this. And of course, Biden is in the pockets of the Israelis, which is why they get away with all this stuff. And unfortunately, you guys, like, the burners knew this was coming. We tried to warn you Bidenites during the primaries that this is what Joe Biden does. And in fact, Chris Hedges said that this basically was the reason that he would never vote blue no matter who, no matter what, because he knows that Biden is just as much a war hawk as Trump, and that he would do this exact thing if it came down to Palestinian genocide or Yemen genocide, which Biden's doing exactly the same thing there with the Saudis. We knew what we were getting into. We tried to warn the Bidenites and they didn't listen. And now all of this Palestinian blood is on their hands. Sorry. Vote correct next time. I didn't make you vote Biden. I tried to warn you. I was the one like Chris Hedges just screaming to the rooftops, this is why I won't vote for Biden, because he's going to do exactly the same type of shit on this stuff that Trump would have done. It's not a lesser of two evils. It's the same evil. So I'm not going to give my vote to Biden, and you guys shouldn't have either. Because now, this is, to some extent, the people who put Biden in there, their responsibility. So either get screaming in his ear and make him stop it, or, I don't know. I don't know how you guys look at yourself in the mirror, honestly. I'd feel so guilty if I voted Biden and I was seeing this stuff. I feel utterly responsible for it. But that's just me. Maybe I'm full of a little more empathy than most of you. Or most Bidenites, anyways. The burners all had their heads on straight when it came to this stuff, and we knew it was going to happen, and now we're all vindicated. Aren't we? So keep fighting the good fight out there, guys. I love you. I'm sorry that everything's been so depressing today as far as news, but I mean, that's most days. At least Andrew Yang got the shit kicked out of him, and it looks like he's in big trouble in the mayoral race for being on the wrong side of this, and every politician should go the way of Andrew Yang if they are in favor of Israel. I'm totally okay with everybody that is in favor of Israel just getting fucked up in their political career, and it looks like Andrew Yang may actually lose his mayoral race simply because of his statements on Israel. Deserves every bit of it. So keep fighting the good fight out there, guys. I'll talk to you later.